Good evening. We're happy you are all here this evening. Before we get started with our meeting, Mr. Bolden is going to offer a word of prayer.
Let's bow a moment. Father, as we begin 2020, we thank you for all of the blessings we received in 2019. We thank you for this new year and for all of the potentials it holds. Father, in these most critical moments in our nation, we pray to you to protect our nation and its families, as well as the members of our military, national and globally, and for all the first responders in our nation. This month, we enter 2020 with a prayer for our city and a desire for unity, guidance, and protection. As a diverse city, we come together with one thing in common, and that is a deeply held love for our community and our city. We pray and ask you for unity in America, for we know that we are the only ones, you are the only one that can bring unity, harmony, and oneness in America. Father, we ask you to use each one of us to unify our families, our churches, our workplaces, our communities, our cities, our state, and our nation. We ask your blessing on those who have been called to lead the city in which we live, work, and play. We should be ever so mindful that we are not only leaders but also servants, and it is our responsibility to serve the common good for all. Help us as leaders not to ask first, how do we fix this, but what do we need to learn? How might we need to change, and to whom we need to listen to? As this new year unfolds, we ask for patience that we focus on economic growth and improving the quality of life in our city. Inspire us to work together for the benefit of our community and city. We ask this in your name. Amen.
I now call the meeting for January 7th, 2020 to order. And first on our agenda is community recognition. So if I could have the members of the Cum Concilio Club meet me up front. Yeah, you come stand right by me. And y'all just kind of squish together. Goodness, is the whole club here?
We have 15 of 20.
Oh, that is fabulous. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. One of the best things about Nacogdoches are the individuals and the groups that do things for our community. And this particular group has been responsible for things that are historic, that are significant, and that are beautiful. The club is 125 years old. Is that correct? One of the things I didn't know was that they were part of the original, partners in creating a public library in Nacogdoches, which is extremely significant. I know that you were responsible with the Bright Foundation for restoring that fence around, the beautiful fence around the Oak Grove Cemetery. Is there anything you would like to say?
I would just like to thank the community and the members of the community for working with us on all of our projects. We can't do that alone. It does take a group of people to get things started, and we just want to thank the community for joining us on all of our endeavors that we've started.
Okay, well, I think that's great. We have a commemorative brick that is, I know it's small, but it's very significant, that we hope that your club will know just a little bit how grateful your city is for all of the work that you all have done throughout the years.
Thank you.
Of course, of
Thank
course.
you.
Yeah. You all want to join us down here, and we will do a quick photograph. Bowling ball. There's so much more to do. We can all scooch and do the sideways thing. Yeah, I'll scoot over to you. Where's Amelia? Okay, there she is. Thank you all very, very much. Of course. Of course, darling. Thank you. Our next agenda item is our open forum. As a reminder, the forum is the public's opportunity to address council on any matter related to the city that is not on our agenda. Our rules and procedures for council meetings apply to the open forum. Disrupting a public meeting is a violation of state law, and no cursing is allowed. Your comments are limited to 3 minutes. And in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, city council generally cannot discuss, consider, or take action on matters not listed on the agenda. First, we have David Hedrick. If you'd like to come forward. No, sir. We will wait until you get up here. Take your time. And we just need for you to state your name and address.
My name is David Hedrick. I live at 3823 Post Oak Road for the last 15 years. I'm not really even sure why I'm here, but there's been more and more advertising about Suddenlink getting businesses in the community. And when businesses tie in with Suddenlink, and Suddenlink goes down, they got a problem. And then we have a problem. It happened to me about spring of last year, and I'd left my car at a mechanic's place to get worked on while I walked to my chiropractor. Then I walked around to Chicken Express to grab something to eat. Then I get back over there, and they hadn't done anything in my vehicle because they didn't have a computer. Everything was down. That whole section around Star and University, I don't know how far it went, but everybody was dead. My chiropractor was dead. They were dead. I go, don't you have a pencil and paper? I just wanted my oil changed and my tires rotated. It wasn't anything major. No parts, no nothing. But anyway, so I don't know what involvement the city has with Suddenlink, but they should be careful because they come in. I don't know if they come in. I shouldn't state things I don't know, but they should not be given any sort of rebates or grants or anything like that for expansions or things like that unless they can give some kind of guarantees. Right now, I'm going through a situation personally where the Monday before New Year's Eve, I went down there to have my bedroom TV switched from just regular TV to where I could have a mini TiVo hook up with my big TiVo. Okay. I figured it'd take someone 10 or 15 minutes. Well, the technician spent half hour in my front yard yelling at somebody on a cell phone. I imagine it was a personal call. He got inside my house at 4 o'clock. He couldn't figure out how to do it. I heard him on the phone calling people up and stuff. I think he left around 5. I'm not sure because he didn't tell me. I just looked up and his truck was gone. I don't know what was going on, what he did. Is he coming back the next day or anything? That was just me and that guy. Now, I went down the next day to Suddenlink. Oh, the first thing when you call Suddenlink personally, they put you on hold for 30 minutes. Or they said the hold may last as long as 30 minutes. That's just to drive you away. Well, I can drive over to the office in 10 minutes. You know, so I just do things personally at their office. And they can be very frustrating, especially the new people who move to town, that kind of thing. With all the trees we have around here, my time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Hedrick. Our next person is Debbie Tompkins. Good evening.
Hi. you need me to give my name and address also, Debbie Tompkins, 3420 Rock Ridge, Nacogdoches. I'm here on behalf of a lot of people, I can't say their names because I don't really know, that I have befriended on an application called Nextdoor. And we are all up in arms about Suddenlink. There has been so much emails I have gotten, so many commercials I've seen on Suddenlink, how they're going to do this and that and this for you. And our town personally has had the worst. If you or any of y'all are on this Nextdoor app, you will see how spotty the service is in our town. I don't know what y'all can do as a group collectively. I don't know how long the contract is with our city collectively, but I just wish so bad that somebody would do something to let someone else have a chance, fire them on their contract. They have not committed to what they have said they were going to do. And I say Altice, Suddenlink/Altice. Also, I will say I should not be up here because I am one of the lucky ones that called them one day and got the jackpot. They cut my bill in half and gave me exactly what I had before. All my clients and friends were like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? And I said, it was just somebody I talked to. It wasn't right. They should have never done that. They should have, from the day we signed our contract, we should be responsible for that. It was just the luck of the draw. I got somebody that day that just wanted to give me a good deal. I was asking him to turn off my cable and just give me internet. Well, he said, internet's very expensive. My point is, what can you guys do? What can we expect our city councilmen to do, since y'all are the ones that probably know what the contract is with Suddenlink? Everybody's like, don't go with Dish. You know, I don't know what, AT&T, no. But I'm speaking for a bunch of people that said they might be here tonight, and I don't see, well, I don't even know who they are. I just see their name on the thing. But I am here as a loyal person that said I would be here and I would speak for them, and that's basically what I have to say.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Moving on to agenda item number 4, items to be removed from the consent agenda. And if there's nothing that a council member would like to remove, Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we approve agenda item
Second.
4 or 5, consent agenda.
Okay, moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. If no other discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. And for our regular agenda, our first public hearing is consider ordinance of the City of Nacogdoches amending the concept plan of a planning development district within the city for lots 1 and 2 of Block 5 of the Austin Hills subdivision, etc. Good evening, Chief Kiplinger.
Mayor and Council, Keith Kiplinger, your fire chief, and very happily your deputy city planner now. Tonight, we're going to talk about a concept plan amendment for a planned development. These are a little bit unusual, and it's unlikely that you have ever gone through a concept plan amendment. So I want to walk through what planned developments are in the zoning ordinance and then sort of explain why we're doing what we're doing, if that's okay. Planned developments allow the city council, along with the Planning and Zoning Commission, to specifically tailor requirements and regulations for zoning districts within the city. So if, for example, you wanted to build a residential subdivision and instead of having a 10-foot side setback, you wanted to allow an 8-foot side setback, a planned development district is the way that you would zone a tract of land to allow that very particular variance or very particular set of regulations that you wouldn't necessarily want across the community but might be appropriate for garden homes in a particular neighborhood. Planned development districts have been used around town for residential developments as well as some commercial developments over the years. Tonight, we have before you a request to reconfigure a planned development district that was originally designed to include a church and a future nursing home or assisted living center. This is located on West Austin Street, adjacent to a residential neighborhood. For many years, the church was constructed and for many years operated as a church. It is subsequently no longer being used as a church. The assisted living and nursing home were never completed, but the Plan Development District was approved for those. The plan development process is a little bit different than all of our own other zoning processes as well. Because of the nature of creating these special zoning districts, it's sort of a two-stage process. The first step is that a concept plan goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission, where they can approve or deny or make recommendations. That concept plan is then referred to the City Council, which is where we are tonight. And then a development plan goes back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for approval to approve that the development plan is consistent with the nature of what the council approved. So if you said it's gonna be 8-foot setbacks, it's gonna be 8-foot setbacks, but they're able to go into the deep design phase after the concept plan. So you may not know exactly where the building's gonna sit or exactly where the trees are gonna be initially. And so that allows the Planning Commission to go ahead and do that at the end. Because this was done as a planned development district many years ago and approved through that two-step process, we felt it was absolutely essential that we bring it back to the council in the form of a concept plan, which is the very most basic or the very beginning. Basically, the request is that the current planned development district would be redesigned to allow for the use of the entire property, which is where the church is, along with the other 5 or so acres, as a senior citizen center. The current senior citizen center on the south side of town is out of room, and they had an opportunity to do some pretty significant expansion at this site. So if you'll take a look at the zoning map as it's currently zoned, the orange represents planned development districts. That residential neighborhood to the east is also a planned development district. And the townhouse kind of residential neighborhood to the north across Austin Street is also a planned development district. To the west and to the south are zoned agricultural. The next map is the future land use plan, which indicates residential. That's the pale yellow color. And then we're back to the original plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission met last night and took a look at the concept plan that you have as attachment A to the ordinance. And voted 4-1 to recommend approval. Staff's recommendation is based on the fact that the zoning change seems to be compatible with the surrounding area and will contribute to the orderly growth in the neighborhood. The proposed uses are compatible with the comprehensive plan because it calls for outdoor spaces, community and recreational facilities in close proximity to residential areas. And the proposed senior center will provide much needed space for an aging population. So staff does recommend approval, and I'll allow, there is a public hearing attached to this, so I'll be happy to answer any questions after.
Thank you. Is there anyone here wanting to speak against this proposal? Okay. Is there anyone here wanting to speak for? Yes, sir.
My name is Baron McLemore. I'm the owner of the 5 acres behind it, and I've been tasked with selling the church from my dad and the church's estate for this. When the Senior Citizen Center approached me about this, I thought, what better use could this be than church is set up to serve the community. This will be another service that there is to the community, and it's as a lot of us that have been around with this, we started Austin Hills when we started the went through the certified retirement community process for Nacogdoches about 15, 16 years ago. Kind of copied Dale Webb's Sun City projects for the age restriction, except lowered them to age 50. So I'm really here, for it. I'd like to see the church building used for something instead of sitting there vacant. It's a fabulous building. There was a lot of private money, as you can guess where it came from, put into that. It's a ICF building, insulated concrete form. At the time that we built it, it had a rating of 170 mile-an-hour wind load on it. So not only are they getting a fabulous building, they're getting a very structurally sound building that, they're going to have a hard time if they want to take out walls or something like that. But even for a shelter or something like that, it's utilities are pretty much non-existent on that building, as they are. I'm here mainly if, you have any questions or anything else, as far as what else is gonna do. This, I will say, this is correcting something that was not supposed to happen. This, the assisted living was just or nursing home was an idea that we thought about that could go in the future. It was never supposed to be in the plan development, as far as being specifically tied to that. So when, they came and, the Senior Citizen Center came and started looking at this came up. So this is correcting something that, shouldn't have been in the first place. But it's a better way of doing it, that y'all get a say-so and the community gets a say-so, and we're not trying to hide anything or do anything behind somebody's back or whatever. But, I'll stay around if you have any other questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLemore. Is there anyone else that wants to speak for this? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
My name is Jim Fleming, and I reside at 1421 West McLemore Court, which is in the residential area right next to this proposed facility. We, as a neighborhood, are very much in favor of this, and we've had a number of meetings within ourselves, and the senior citizen people came out and talked to us about it, and we're aware of what's happening, and we like it, and so I'm just here to say that we think it's a very good thing for not only our community, but for the aging community of Nacogdoches. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Anyone else? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Chief Kiblinger?
The main reasoning was space issues.
Yes, so the current facility that they are operating out of is a county-owned building, and they have a significant space problem. They don't have near enough activity space for the people that are there. And I know there are representatives of the Senior Citizens nonprofit corporation here if you have very specific questions. But I do know that this church will allow them, with the addition of a commercial kitchen, that this church facility will allow them sufficient space to feed the meals and do the activities. And then their initial plan is to very quickly build about a 5,000 square foot activity building where they can have exercise classes and those type of things, which is going to allow them to expand. Then future plans will have to follow this concept. So they'll be adding walking trails and maybe a gardening area. The biggest protection for the neighborhood is that they have agreed to a 50-foot setback on the residential lots. So there'll be a 50-foot landscape buffer between anything that happens on this property and those residential neighbors, which is a lot bigger than we would have it in normal zoning district. But it does provide long-term comfort for those residents that they won't get a big metal building right up against the property line.
Great. Thank you.
Good. Anything else? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we pass agenda item number 6 as it's written.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded that we pass agenda item number 6 as presented. If no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Is Tammy here? No, Tammy Blank? You're her representative. Well, we're thrilled. This is great for our city, so thank you. Number 7, consider an ordinance amending the boundaries of a zoning district within the city of Nacogdoches from R1 Single Family to B2 General Business. Yes, sir?
Mayor and Council, Keith Kiblinger, your former interim city planner. In May of 2019, council took up and approved a zone change for Klein Family Practice to build a medical office building on the North Loop. When that zone change happened, or subsequent to that zone change, there were some boundary line changes with regard to the property and some plats, and staff inadvertently failed to rezone a small polygon in the southeast corner of the property, which is highlighted in yellow on your screen. That small polygon is the only piece of this property that was not rezoned at that time. The current zoning map shows in baby yellow, that is residential zoning district. And in the fuchsia-ish color represents B2 General Business District. And you can see that the balance of that lot was zoned B2 General Business. That small polygon in the southeast corner remains residentially zoned today. It is not against a residential neighborhood, though. It is next to a church. A church is allowed in any zoning district by our zoning ordinance, and so the church doesn't have a need to rezone from residential to anything else to occupy that space. But there is a big, long-term, pre-existing church there, so it's not abutting a neighborhood. By approving this B2 general business zoning change, you will allow them to have a driveway to connect their parking lot to the loop, which seems to be an important part of the business. Staff took this to the Planning and Zoning Commission last month, and they voted 4-0 to approve the recommended change. The zoning change is compatible with the surrounding area, which is a high-traffic area, and it should contribute to orderly growth. No nuisances are anticipated, and lighting and landscaping will meet all the city requirements. Commercial zoning is appropriate for the area based on the comprehensive plan, and staff does recommend approval following the public hearing. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we're going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone that wants to speak against this zoning change? Okay, anyone wanting to speak for the zoning change? Okay, public hearing is closed. Council, any questions or comments?
Wouldn't make a ton of sense for us to approve the old zoning change and not this one, right?
I would hope you would approve this zoning change. This is really just cleaning up something where the property lines just weren't caught, honestly, so.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion if you all have no further discussion.
Make a motion to approve item agenda number 7 as it is written.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded that we approve agenda item number 7 as presented. If no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Number 8, presentation of Convention and Visitors Bureau Annual Report. Good evening, Ms. Morgan.
Good evening and Happy New Year, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to deliver our end-of-the-year report for the CVB for this last fiscal year. I kept the same format as I used to deliver the report last year so that there could be some consistency in delivering you the metrics. The only difference this year, last year I did include a brief summary of the performance of the Fredonia Hotel, and John McLaren, the general manager, was happy to share that information with me this year. However, we both felt it would be better coming from an official representative of the Fredonia, since in my position as executive director for the Visitors Bureau, I represent technically all the hotels. So Mr. McLaren has offered to come and speak to council should you like a summary of their last year performance as well. But that should be the only difference between, aside from the content, the format of this year's end of the year report. We played host to over 4,000 walk-in guests in fiscal year 19, including an increased number of international travelers just from all over the globe, and that did represent a 13% increase over our last year. Requests for informations, we satisfied 4,572 requests. That was a 14% decrease from the previous year. But then we also took the opportunity to realize that the way people are accessing information is different. So we did some deep diving into the back end of our website, and we were able to see that there were over 15,000 downloads of visitor information, which is the same. It's just an electronic form of what we would mail them, and it actually works out better for us because we're not incurring any postage cost for that. And we don't have any comparative data from the last year, but now we have a benchmark moving forward. We had paid print marketing presence in the listed publications. Our total marketing expense was $183,250, and that did include paid digital marketing. And these are some examples of the ads that we ran, both digitally and in print. Where we could to save money, we went to a third page vertical format, as you can see in the first two. It gives the same eye presence on a page without incurring the additional cost of a full page. We are privy to just some grandfathered deals in publications like Texas Monthly and Texas Highways that give us the best rate on full page ads, and if we ever deviate from that, then we would lose access to those grandfathered rates. So we keep those in those flagship publications, our full page ad presence, because it just doesn't make sense to give up this, to give up the deals that we're getting, the rates that we're getting. So we focused on we chose to focus for our winter months in our unique shopping opportunities, think outside the big box, to highlight our many independently owned and operated shops here in Nacogdoches. We are focusing currently, but we did use this, we tested the Reconnect, Rekindle, and Recharge in the last fiscal year so that we could present Nacogdoches to a broader audience looking for girlfriend getaways, boyfriend getaways, couple getaways, family getaways. And it tested very positively. And then obviously Blueberry Festival and azaleas, which we are already getting calls about azalea tours coming through. And these are other examples of how we're marketing our different pillars. Moving on to social media marketing. We use an industry standard, and it's on the last slide. I can give you the name of how we arrive at these figures. But a Facebook post on our Facebook page has an earned media value of $23,598.52. So to get the kind of media exposure and audience views, if you were to go to an advertising agency and pay for that kind, this is the equivalent of that. Our growth, we gained a net of over 1,500 new followers and likes with a total fan increase of 16%. And our top 5 cities are Nacogdoches, Houston, Lufkin, Dallas, and Austin. Top 5 countries, the US, Mexico, the UK, Germany, and India. And that's just for Facebook. Instagram is on our Instagram, and these are conservative figures. But again, they are from an algorithm. So, but $224,767 of earned media value on for presence on our Instagram page. Our growth was up 4% from the previous year, and our top five cities, Nacogdoches, Houston, Austin, Lufkin, and Tyler, and the countries US, Brazil, Mexico, UK, and India. And then finally, Twitter, an earned media value of $6,782. We gained 47 new followers, and the target market info is just not provided in the analytics of Twitter. And the values that we've been giving are provided by the Eisenberg EMV index, which is an industry standard to arrive at details such as these. What this does for us is it helps us better gauge this and some information that we're about to get to. What we're doing well, where we're not hitting the mark, quite frankly, and we need to focus more attention to sort of even the playing field and utilize where our earned media value is its highest, to translate that to our partners in the community to assign a value to the services that we can provide to them. And that helps them in their business model as well. These are some key metrics represented from the third quarter. You can see that the light blue and the dark blue, those are our Twitter presence and our Facebook presence. Instagram is in yellow, and blogs are in pink. So right now, what we see is that we're doing a really good job on Twitter and Facebook, and what we really want to do is even out those pieces so that there is an even distribution, and especially now that we know that presence on our Instagram page has such a high earned media value, certainly we want to look at broadening and expanding that. These metrics are provided to us by our Meltwater subscription, and they gauge something that's really interesting to me. But it's, they gauge the sentiment that others have of Nacogdoches, and our positive sentiment has grown over this last year, so an increase of 54% and 61%. This is really an overview, and again, it's in keeping with the metrics that we provided from last year. But if there's ever anything that y'all would like a deeper dive into, we've got numbers and charts and analytics for days, and time doesn't allow for me to share all that with you in a report such as this. These are popularity trends and spike analysis, and just an example, a sampling of what sorts of things are spiking for us and how that impacts that positive sentiment that people have. So insomnia cookies, when Secretary Julian Castro came, and Meet the Jacks. And overall, we can thank Coach Carthel for a lot of things, but he has really helped the positive sentiment of Nacogdoches as a whole. So thank you. Believe the vision. And then I'm a sucker for a word cloud. So this is text and audience analytics, and you can see the bigger the words, that's the more they're used in the mentions about Nacogdoches. So, you know, right off the bat, even my blind old eyes can see beautiful oldest town, Texas, keep beautiful Axum. So that's always kind of a great gee whiz, and then the top hashtags as well. And interestingly enough, our gender breakdowns have taken a turn. So we are now attracting more male consumers of our social media content. These are analytics, a brief overview from our website, not necessarily social media, but still our digital presence. Most impressively, you can see on the first pie chart, the blue represents brand new visitors, and so you can see that we're just about at 80% brand new visitors to our website, with the green being returning visitors. And the bottom pie chart, that blue represents people that have found us organically, so they have actually typed in Nacogdoches. And that's one of the benefits to having such a unique name as we have, because you can literally just type NACOG, and you're going to get anything. Nobody else is sporting NACOG. You don't even have to finish the word. So we don't have to worry about, you know, getting traffic from anybody else. Visits and pages, this also brought forth some interesting facts. You can see that in our top 5 cities, there's a very strong showing from Chicago, which is duplicated in the bottom of the visits and pages to, oh, am I lying to you? I swore I thought I saw. Oh, Illinois, yeah. Yeah, right under Texas, Illinois, we're getting a lot of visits from Illinois, which corresponds with the top. So these are just some fun things for your gee whiz bag, but it's always interesting to see the source of the interest in coming to visit and stay with us and getting more information about us. For meetings and events, this is the sales side of the work that we do. In the previous fiscal year, we had 40 meetings and events with an estimated economic impact of over $3 million. For the fiscal year 19, we had 45 meetings and events with an estimated economic impact of slightly less than that, $2,995,823. We had more groups overall, but fewer overnight stays. And we did do more groundwork for several groups that will be coming in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's just sort of the nature of the beast of the work that we do. We do a lot of sowing of seeds and nurturing those relationships for meetings, especially that come down the line. So we've responded to at least 20 RFPs for annual conferences and things like that. And coming up soon in this fiscal year, we're proud to host the county judges. They'll be coming into Nacogdoches, so we'll get to welcome them. And in sowing those seeds for future groups, we've been able to continue to improve our partnerships with the Expo Center and the university. We've increased our guest services to not only elevate the level of our service, but also to make those services more cost-effective. We've increased room rentals of the CVB to outside groups. They're coming in and renting our space. We offer free hospitality, Texas-friendly customer service training, which is curriculum-based out of Texas AgriLife, so that is free. We do regularly scheduled training on-site at the visitor center, but we can also take it to individual companies, and we can break it down. If you want to do a week-long series of lunch, we are willing to work with everybody. Ideally, we'd really like to have most of our businesses, especially front-end staff, certified Texas friendly. And so that is a service that we offer for free. Community partnerships for CVB usage of our actual building for major events. This past Christmas, we stayed open for the Christmas parade so that residents would be able to use our facilities and have a warm place. And that worked well. And we will, again, for the last 2 years, we've stayed open for Wine Swirl. And we'll continue to do that because it just leaves people with a better feeling of how thankful we are that they are visiting our town. And also, we started our Be Like Mike volunteer recruitment program named aptly for John Michael Bay. And that has increased our number of new volunteers. And we will continue with that as well because we can never have too many volunteers. We love the volunteers that we have, and we couldn't do what we do without them. But many hands make a light load. And an increased number of guest speaker appearances by me. So I'm huge with the breakfast set. We turned our focus in this last year to our online reviews, specifically TripAdvisor. For the fiscal year of 19, our average score for those reviews was 4.78 out of a 5-point scale. One of the action items we did to better connect with our visitors leaving reviews for us was I began going through and responding to the comments that they were leaving and making sure that they knew that we valued their choice. And these are some examples of some of the reviews that were left. Most of them are just from the Mike Bay fan club, but I can't blame them at all. And there's an example on the very bottom one of a response. Hotel occupancy, that's always the biggie. So overall, it was above 1.1 over where we were last year, but it's positive. And honestly, this is just a trend not only across the state, but across the nation. Occupancy as a whole is down. A lot of that has to do, according to Texas Hotel and Lodging Association, to the confidence that citizens feel in government, their overall safety, the value of travel. So that's some of what goes in. So we are faring better than others of our size, in still remaining on the positive end of a hotel occupancy. And this is our new staff. Ashley Morgan joins us. And then our current board of directors. Nope, that's not me. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
You might have any questions?
Public comment first or no?
Oh, well, yes, we can do that. Did you get a wink from someone?
No.
Is there anyone that would like to comment on this presentation? Okay, go ahead.
I did have a question though, I didn't want to jump the gun.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you responded to RFPs. How does that work in practice? Do you have organizations that reach out and then you've got to filter that through and get bids from like the expo center and and then other privately held organizations and piece that together, or what does that look like?
Each one really is different. So there are a lot of times that we hear of groups that have either been here in the past or that we hear that they are looking, they're looking for a destination for an upcoming meeting, and we pursue them. A lot of times we are approached, like with recently, there was a disc golf national champion group that wanted to bring their championship game to Nacogdoches, and so they asked us. We've had several requests from the Texas Travel Industry Association and the Texas Association of CVBs to play host to, and that's our tourism industry, both of those, but to play host to town hall meetings and travel caravans. Sometimes we cold call, but honestly, we just help wherever we can. Some of them already have an idea of where they want to stay, and so we are there for support for that. And then we have a list of our standard guest services, so we can help with your registration, we can do your name tags. You just go down the list of different ways that we can help, and if it's not on the list, then we'll do that too.
So are they looking for you to bundle pricing, say at the Fredonia or at the Expo Center?
Some are, but honestly, we're not in a position to do that. So what we do is really serve as the liaison to help them connect the dots. So if they know that they want a room block at the Fredonia, but they aren't interested in having their events there, then we source out, well, these are the other event spaces that could hold a group of your size. Yes, it's like a flow chart. Do they have a kitchen? Yes, no. If they don't have a kitchen, here's a list of caterers, and we can break it all down. But we try to be the one-stop shopping so people aren't having to go and source all that information out. But it is very, it's concierge service, and it's a lot of a la carte, because what one group wants, maybe another doesn't. And I think we're so unique in the groups that we can logistically handle, because the way people want to run their meetings is they want their people to be able to come in, park, and never have to leave that destination. And the Fredonia, for example, they have 109 rooms. Well, that's a pretty small meeting when you think of Texas Municipal League, or some of these that are 300, 400, 500 people. So then, we have to get creative with, okay, you can have this many rooms here, but these are other properties that we can offer as well. And on the RFPs that we don't win, we always make sure that we get the reasoning why we didn't get it, so that we now have a list moving forward of where we need to grow so that we can in the future. So we don't really look at anything as a loss, because we're, at the very minimum, we're getting information that we can use to guide how we do what we do moving forward.
Love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, and since I don't have a Twitter or Instagram account, I have
We
a
can
right.
help you with that.
I have a right to ask this question. Now, on those accounts, isn't the information it's temporary, right? It's not anything that's going to be on there for a while?
No, sir. There is a platform called Snapchat, and there are some other similar ones where that information stays live for 24 hours, and then it disappears unless somebody has taken a screenshot of it and has saved it in other ways. But Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those are there unless somebody actively deletes them.
How do you flag if they had a request for Nacogdoches?
Well, the figure, that 15,000, is that what you're speaking of?
Yeah.
That was from our website, so we can actually go in through our analytics, and we know that our most visited website page is our calendar of events. We can tell how many people visited that page, how long they stayed on that page, were they on an Apple or an Android, were they on a mobile device, were they on a tablet, we can tell a lot of information, the time that they did. So it's eerie, but we have access to a lot of information on that. We don't offer downloads of information on our social media, Facebook, everything that we do, we link back to our website, because that's what gives us the strongest and most accurate analytics to gauge that by.
Oh, yeah, but that special software you had to download for that? I mean, like if someone from Instagram logged into your site, that's one stroke, right? You have the software for that. You purchase software for that.
You don't have to. We do subscribe to, it's our media monitoring service, and it's called Meltwater. And they have various different silos of things that services that they offer. So one of the things they do for us is every morning I open up my computer and I get a full list and links of every mention of Nacogdoches, oldest town in Texas, El Camino Real, lots of keywords and phrases that we get to choose, and it pulls every blog post, every online newspaper article, every mention of that. And so I get to see that every day. If there's something that needs action, if there's something being said out there, I can forward that on to whoever needs that information. But it also helps alert us to maybe some things that are happening that we don't know about, activities and events. And I always go back to that sentiment. Where are we hitting? When people hear Nacogdoches, what is their gut response? Because that's the importance of building a brand, is that visceral reaction that people have when they hear the name of your town.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please thank your staff.
Oh,
for
I
us
will.
too.
Thank you.
Great. Agenda item number 9, consider the following city board appointments. As is our tradition, we will take each board separately. So I will make the nominations after we had our interviews last Friday. And by the way, we had great interviews again. This is amazing how many people are wanting to serve our city, and we also enjoy getting to meet people we have not met before. And so it's a really good experience. We will start with the airport board. And for full terms, we nominate Roy Blake Jr., Taylor Jones, Colin Smith, and 2 alternates, Ricky Jones and David Zimmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that passes. For our Building Standards Committee, we have, I don't have their last names, Leonard Patton and Jerry Roberts, with alternate Rick Pennington. Need a second, please?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Health Code Advisory Committee, Hunter Skeef and Doyle Anderson and Beth Blackburn.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Industrial Development Board, we're reappointing Richard Humphreys.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Main Street Board, Miles McCall and Morgan Rogers.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The Mayor's Committee on People with Disabilities, Harry Vandeveer.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And our Pine Grove Cemetery Board, didn't write the last names down. Ida
Sanders.
Sanders, Betty
Jacobs.
Jacobs, and Raymond
Berry.
Berry. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. It is, what time is it now? I can't read that clock. It is 6:26. We are going to go into executive session. You all are welcome to wait if you like. If not, thank you for attending tonight's meeting.